How's it going, Lisbon? My name is Antonio Nakar. I'm the co-founder and CMO of NG.CASH. And today, we're going to be talking about owning Gen Z, how to bank a generation. Or at least that's the best name I could think of to pretend I know what I'm talking about here today. Well, jokes aside, over the past 4 years, we went from 0 to 8 million users and became Brazil's biggest bank for the newer generations. And to make my life a bit easier in telling you guys how I managed to do that, we split that period into the pivotal moments that taught us the most in NG.CASH to derive some lessons about marketing, product, and founding a startup. So let's start from the beginning. There you go. In 2020, we launched our first MVP, which was called after our co-founder's YouTube channel. To understand that, we got to go a bit behind before that, in 2014, when they started making Minecraft videos online. They created a gaming YouTube channel, which then became vlogging, and 6 years after that, they blew up to over 18 million subscribers, billions of views, and fans all over Brazil. But the interesting thing about that period is that over the time, they managed to harness the power of their distribution and launch basically any product. Over that period, they launched clothing brands, comic books, theater plays, you name it. They basically sold anything. So when we got to 2020, Brazil's central bank had just launched one of the biggest financial innovations of the past decade, which was Pix, the instant payment system in Brazil. And that helped to bank a lot of Brazilians that didn't have a bank account. However, there are over 50 million young people that still lacked a bank account. If we look only at Gen Z, almost 90% of Gen Z still hadn't made their first financial transaction online. So, once again, we use our distribution as our weapon to create the first bank focused on the new generations. So we went from a YouTube channel, tried and validated an MVP, and then launched NG.CASH in 2021. Fast forward to today, AI has drastically decreased the technical barriers to build new products. So it's not crazy to think that in the near future, the tech and products can be easily replicated. So 4 years ago, we managed to outgrow our competition, who had roughly the same tech, roughly the same product, and same money as we did, by having the better distribution. And I think that in the new world of AI world today, that still holds true. So in a world where AI can build anything, distribution will decide who wins. Cool. So we have distribution. We have a basic product, but we needed a new brand. And at the ripe age of 23 years old, I was in charge of building a brand. However, as an electrical engineer by trade, I had no freaking idea on how to build a brand. So I opened the books. And when I opened Building a Brand 101, I saw basically 4 bigger topics that I had to cover to build my first brand. Number 1, focus on your target audience. As I said, my target audience were teenagers. So what do teenagers want in their bank? Probably a safe, protected, happy environment to build their first financial relationship. 2, research competitors. In Brazil, basically every company talking to teenagers had a round, happy, fluffy logo and brand. So that was that. And number 3, analyze success cases on the segment. In Brazil, for my target audience, there were none. So didn't have not much of a help there. Number 4, you're ready to go. Design your logo and brand book and launch it. So I did that. For all the marketers and designers out there, I deeply and truly apologize for what I'm about to show you. But this was our first brand. Oh my God. Smiley face, round fonts, bright colors. And when I looked at that, I didn't feel like it represented myself or the company we wanted to build. So as founders, we sat down and decided on the 4 new pillars that our brand had to have for it to work. Number 1, authenticity. The brand had to be authentic with us as founders, with the company always dreamed of building, and with the target audience we wanted to talk to. 2, sense of belonging. People don't buy from brands just because of what they sell. People buy from what a brand means. People buy into a sense of community, a community they already identify with or they aspire to be part of. And people keep buying from brands because of what they make you feel, because they represent who you are today or who you aspire to one day be. Number 3, dare to envision it working. For us, what it meant was we were building a bank for teenagers. And in the slightest chance we actually succeeded, the teenagers would turn 18, then become adults, and they would never want to be associated with a childish brand. So our brand had to be timeless. It had to evolve with our users all over their financial lives. And number 4, defy the status quo. Everybody else was doing the same thing. All banks had basically the same experience, and they talked the same way. So that was what we launched. Sharp edges, bold fonts, impactful. But it also had to have movement. It had to evolve with the generation we were talking to and adapt to different communities. And we launched that. But after we launched, we started to realize that this brand was helping us prioritize our roadmap. It started helping us guide our strategy. It became our north. So brand is the compass, not the paint. Build it early and make it real. Gen Z can smell fake from miles and miles away, so make it authentic. So we have distribution, we have a brand, and now we have money. We raised our seed round in 2022 with Andreessen Horowitz and Monashees, two amazing funds. And by then we were growing basically 10 or 15% month over month. But when you join the VC world, they really push you to grow faster. So we have to think, how do we actually grow? And not that growth that we were used to, but that growth that feels like a wave, pushing the entire company forward to make you feel like you're inevitable. So we had to talk to our users, that most of the times, that's where answers truly lie. After hundreds of interviews, my team came back to me with the simplest of sentences. Gen Z wants a fast, accessible way to manage their money. By that time, we were thinking about differentiating ourselves in terms of products to create a decentralized blockchain, crypto, Web3, whatever. But what Gen Z truly wanted was a fast, accessible way to receive, spend, and save their money. So this gave us two huge insights for a product that we had to build. Number 1, fast. Everybody knows that Gen Z has a smaller attention span, has less patience. So in order for us to grow with this generation, we had to build the fastest and most simple banking experience out there. Number 2, accessible. Accessibility has so much to do with independence. And when you look at it in the context of Brazil, Gen Z didn't learn financial literacy from their parents or their schools. They went to find their knowledge by themselves and then brought it to their homes. So if for NG.CASH to actually become the financial solution for this new generation, we couldn't just replicate what the other banks were doing and make a cool marketing out of it. We had to make it for them. We had to design it for them. So every single product we launched after that was made with that in mind. So what drove serious growth for us at NG.CASH? For us, it wasn't marketing. What made us grow almost 4 times in a quarter was product. I don't believe you can maintain serious growth only by marketing without having a good product. So marketing without a good product is just a cool noise. Amazing. Now we have retention. We have a good product. Started making some real revenue. So what happened was big banks started launching their own youth feature. And the funny thing is, the difference between the big banks and myself is that they have infinite amounts of cash, and I didn't. So what they could do is basically look at this typical marketing funnel out there and jam money everywhere there, trying to imprint their brands in the minds of the newer generation. Myself, on the other hand, every single penny I had a name and a number on it. I had to bring users way, way cheaper than competition, so all my investment had to go for the bottom part of the funnel, to convert new users. So what we had to do is to try to explode our awareness by spending as little money as possible. To do that, basically what we had to do is to produce virality repeatedly. In order to go viral every month, what we had to do was create kind of like our formula to do that. So what we do up until today is, number 1, find moments of cultural tension. These are the moments where everybody is talking about it. People are discussing it in bars, talking about it in social media. These moments can be big, like elections, or they can be small, like niche trends. But you got to find those for your target audience. Number 2, find the right talent, the right spokesperson that can bridge the gap between your brand and the subject you want to talk about. This person has to have an authentic take on that and relate to that subject in some way. And number 3, make sure your brand adds to the conversation and it's not subtracting from it. Okay, so let me give you some practical examples of what we did. Earlier this year, we wanted to launch a marketing campaign for Carnival. What happens in Carnival in Brazil? Everybody's excited to go to the streets, party, drink, have fun. But what also happens to most of us Brazilians is that we get robbed on that. So it's an unfortunate truth, but we got to ourselves and thought, how can we as a bank add to the conversation? And we thought, what would a thief never steal? In Brazil, everybody has flip-flops. So we made a flip-flop that pays. By spending less than $1,000, we reach only on our proprietary channels over 30 million impressions. If we account for all the organic content being posted about that, it would reach over 45 million. Another example, what we did this summer was, there was some pop drama going on about owing money to friends. So in the middle of the summer in Brazil, we hired a plane to go around with a flag, simulating like a friend was calling another friend out for owing them money. And then what we did, everybody on the beach basically pulled out their phones, filmed it, and we got, with also less than $1,000 invested, over 10 million impressions. That's only on one video. I could even count how many people posted about it. So NG.CASH is much more than just a finance app. We managed to create a community by showing people what they actually wanted to see, by understanding our audience. So what we managed to do is to get to over 80 million followers all across our platforms, have a customer acquisition cost at least 5 times lower than our main competitor in Brazil, and over the past year, over 2 billion impressions. So show people what they actually want to see, not what you want them to see. Just make sure you're ready when it works for you to convert it. Cool. So now we're going viral. Awesome. So earlier this year, our main competitor, Z1, came to us talking about a potential partnership. Then it evolved into a conversation about acquiring their user base. And we went through with it. It actually happened. We absorbed our main competitor's user base, but my point here, usually CMOs, CTOs, CPOs can have kind of like an arrogant take on M&As. Because we say things like, give me 4 months and I'll build that. Give me 6 months and I'll get to that number. But for us, what it meant was in just 1 month, we had over 5 times the growth as our previous best month. Up until today, this is the single best retention cohort of NG.CASH. So sometimes it's better to buy it than to build it. And even though that can be obvious for CEOs and CFOs, I don't really see CMOs sitting on their table talking about that strategically as a way to grow. So we had just bought our main competitor's user base. We're going viral every month. Our product is sticky. It felt like we couldn't go any faster. So again, we sat down and thought, how can we actually grow even faster? And when you're faced with problems, with questions, you don't know really the answer. When you have already pulled every trick up your sleeve to get that fast, it's really tempting for you to try and find complex solutions for that. Because complex solutions make you sound smart, make you sound intelligent. And everybody wants to sound smart and intelligent and talk about the crazy complex thing you managed to do. We tried that for a couple of months. We actually tried to be complex and intelligent for a couple of months, but it didn't work. So what we realized was, 4 years ago, we managed to go from one YouTube channel, one community, and expand it into a bank. What if we replicated what had already worked for us, but with different communities? So we did that. We partnered up with Brazil's biggest streamer, Coringa, and launched his bank inside of NG.CASH. So his fans can have his credit card, his banking experience, and us, on the other hand, could reach his 42 million follower audience. What that happened for us was, we have only on 2 weeks after the launch, over 50 million views on this launch, and only during the live stream, we had 20,000 new accounts signed up. Up until today, 3 months after that, we're still sustaining 2 times higher baseline values of growth on our main growth KPIs. What we could do is expand it to other communities as well. So now we have Brazil's biggest streamer, one of Brazil's biggest esports teams, and Brazil's rising trap star. So when in doubt, go back to the basics. They usually hold up. At least for us at NG.CASH, that has always been true. I know I'm running out of time here, but I wanted to share with you guys a last important lesson, at least for me, which if I hadn't done that in the past, I don't think I would be here talking to you guys. Dare to envision it working. 4 years ago, we were just 4 crazy 23-year-olds trying to build a bank in Brazil. A lot of people laughed, a lot of people didn't think it was possible, but by daring to envision our success, it helped us work relentlessly every single day to make that work. And up until today, one of the questions I get asked the most is, how has my role as a founder and CMO at NG.CASH evolved over the years? What's my role? What's my main responsibility? And to answer that, I usually go back to the first Web Summit I attended when I heard Brian Collins speak, and he said, make the future so irresistible it becomes inevitable. And ever since then, that has been the definition of my role at NG.CASH. And I believe that's the role of every CMO and marketer out there. Because if we do make the future so irresistible for our customers, for our employees, and for our investors, they're really going to help us make that come true. Thank you very much.